I'm R.A. Schwartz along with Rachel Galligan, and welcome to the Winsidr show where it's all about the W. The Chicago Sky have defeated the Phoenix Mercury, winning the WNBA Finals 3-1 in front of a hometown crowd for the first time in Sky history. We are excited to discuss it all with Sky head coach and GM James Wade. If you like our show, please consider joining our Patreon community, patreon.com/Winsidr. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can directly show support for the hard work we do covering the W. And don't forget to see our amazing staff's written content over at winsidr.com. That's winsidr.com. And remember, downloading the episode makes our stats look better and allows us to continue doing this important work. Do you want to sponsor an episode of Winsidr Show? Email us, info@winsidr.com. It is an honor to welcome the defending head coach. I don't know if defending is too early or not, but congratulations to head coach / GM James Wade. Coach, have you come down off of like cloud nine, or where are you right now? And have you had any time to reflect on the amazingness that's transpired over the last 2-3 days?
Well, I'm currently still in Chicago, doing doing exit meetings and just doing a lot of stuff around, just Chicago Sky stuff and just closing out the season, I guess the stuff that you do to finish off a season. So I mean I guess you could say I'm on cloud nine, hasn't really hit me yet. Um the way that I think it still in kind of awe. And I'm not as much in awe of the championship as I am in awe of the turnout yesterday for the rallying parade. It was amazing. It was an experience that I've never experienced before. And to see all the support from the city and how many people showed up, in the middle of a work week, it was just absolutely off the charts.
One of the cool things that I saw was supposedly there was like an elementary school that was along the parade path. And I think a teacher or somebody from the school or somebody who was there, because I wasn't there, unfortunately, said that the whole school came out and it was just an amazing moment for these kids to sit there and be able to see that and be part of it. I just thought that was so special. But hearing you talk about how special that was, I have to ask, this isn't your first championship that you've been a part of. How did this experience, obviously you're the head coach, right? So it probably hits home a little bit better. But like, I just have to ask, because I feel like I would be an idiot not to ask, how do American championship celebrations compare to when you're in Russia and you guys win?
It's a little different, I guess. We customarily do the parade and here in the States, and it's more, a more organized, I guess, rally parade or whatever you want to call it, to kind of close off the season. I think there you really, really go hard after you win a championship, and then the rest of it is, I guess, when you get to the airport, you have the fans there and everybody has flowers for you, and it's a big, like a big deal. But it's when you arrive at the airport, and then you have something a little more intimate with the team, like a big party, either at the end of the year or at the beginning of the next year. So that's normally how we do it, because normally at the end of the overseas year, everybody's rushing out to get to the WNBA. So you don't really have enough time. But the next year is where they do it, and the new players, they kind of profit from from being from being and in I guess in the presence of the winners of the year president. So
Well, that's an interesting aspect because, obviously WNBA players, they got to get overseas because that season's already started or is about to start. So sometimes people talk negatively about having these parades or celebrations so soon after, but I got to think like that's a positive. You're still riding the high of that victory. You guys are just still in that mode. I mean, how special was it to have I've seen before, right? When the Mystics won, what, 2, 3 seasons ago, they had to delay their parade until the next season started, kind of like what you were saying. How special was it that you guys were able to do that and still be together and really live in that moment together?
For me, I thought it was amazing because this is first time for a franchise, and so it was everybody was so excited and so stoked, and just you know we were so focused during this run. I promise I've never seen a team like a collective unit as focused as we were, and so locked in like throughout the entire process. To see everyone kind of relax and let their hair down and kind of like just all let go and just it was nice. And I knew that everyone wanted to be a part of it because to be locked in for so long and not let their guards down for so long, for practically a month, was amazing.
So let's real quick recap for anyone who's lived under a rock for the past, what, like 20, 10 days, 15 days, whatever. Underrated, by the way, is game one was a blowout also. Not enough talk. Everyone talks about game three, right? You win by 36. Game one, you win 91-77. You go to game two, you lose 91-86 in overtime. That was a crazy intense game. Game three was just like, we'll get to it. 50-86, complete blowout, and then you seal the victory and take home the hardware with an 80-74 win in regulation. And our show is all about giving y'all the respect that you deserve and talking about the basketball. Now, this is a championship celebration victory lap episode, so obviously we're going to have a little more fun with it. But I have to ask, because I kept seeing this on social media and from people who are much wiser when it comes to basketball than I. And they kept talking about how impressed they were with what you did as a coach with adjustments and game planning throughout the whole playoffs and specifically in this series. And I was just wondering, we're not going to go like, oh, in game one with 4 minutes left, you called this play out of a timeout, because that's a little bit too much. But what I do want to ask is kind of, you know, how you adjusted in between games and how you prepared before game one, because I it's a very interesting chess match, and we've spoken about this before. I'm so intrigued by it because if you win by a couple, do you adjust your game plan a lot? When you win by a ton, do you go, well, that obviously works, let's do that again? And I'm just so curious, like, going into the series, what did you think the keys were, and like what were some adjustments that you're willing to share? I know you don't want to give the secret sauce out, but what are some adjustments and things that kind of you and the coaching staff did throughout the series that you think helped you guys be successful?
Well, we had a chance to really study their games that they played against Las Vegas. Got a chance to really study their games against us in the regular season, and we saw things that hurt us, and we pretty much uh, identified their identity early, I guess, and we didn't want them to beat us with their identity. So I think the thing is that we wanted them to beat us in a way that they weren't used to beating us in. Try to put them in those kind of uncomfortable situations. And I thought our coaches put together a great game plan and taught it well, and our players they paid attention to it and were really locked in. I really thought that each game or each series beforehand got us ready for the next series. So it fell in the line that we were able to play Dallas, then play Minnesota, then play Connecticut, then play Phoenix, and I thought us playing three dominant centers back to back to back was really good for us. I thought us playing against explosive guards the first series, and playing against explosive guards throughout kind of helped us as well. And so we were able to identify Phoenix's strengths and understand where they like to be on the floor. And so we just tried to do as best we could of not allowing them to get to those spots on the floor that they like. and not allowing them to play as much together when they like to. So um, I thought we did a good job of it.
Well, and we talked a ton about just that atmosphere in Chicago. It had to have been a sigh of relief to be able to steal one on the road in Phoenix. So you
Hmm.
split there 1-1. Game two
Hmm.
was crazy. I mean, we could talk all day about the drama that unfolded in game two, what should or shouldn't have. I guess it's all water under the
Yeah.
bridge at this point. Although I
Right,
have a
right,
feeling we'll be talking about this stuff years from now. At least Ari and I will. But
yeah.
you go back to Chicago and yours truly decides to fly in. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be a great game. And of course, it's a blowout. I mean, an absolute blowout. Actually, the biggest blowout in WNBA Finals history takes place on Friday. You
Right,
guys beat the
right.
Mercury 86-50, which was just insane. Um, and I feel like being in that arena, you could just feel the energy and you could like feel the wind being taken out from underneath Phoenix's sails. You just knew there was going to be a response after that game too. What I want to talk about is obviously game four. And what was crazy about that game is in that third quarter, like it was kind of like, you guys kind of had a season where coming out in that third, like you'd get a little flat, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I remember like the arena fed off the energy of this team, or actually the team
Hmm.
fed off the energy of the arena. And it was almost like there were moments where the crowd needed to do more. You guys needed that crowd more. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to do this. I say we, and forgive me, everyone. I never pick teams. I don't have favorites, but I allowed myself to be a fan for 2 days, okay? And that is home for me. So please let me just have that. So I'm like, I don't know if we can do this. And I remember I looked next to the people I was sitting with. I said, if we can just cut it to single digits by the beginning of the fourth quarter, like we've got a shot. And sure enough, it got cut. And then that fourth quarter, it was just game over. I mean, there were some missed layups on both sides. I think Stephanie Dolson missed one early. Then she hit two. Candace Parker hits that massive three. Then Phoenix misses a whole barrage of layups down the stretch. You guys end up just completely dominating that fourth quarter, 26-11. When was the moment in your mind that you felt like, okay, we are in striking distance and we can make this push?
I've been in enough of games with our team where we've, been down by a lot and was able to erase the lead like really quick. Historically, in the 3 years that I've been with this team, if they team has a lead, then we've been able to like really um, like explode, like 7-0 runs, 11-0 runs. So it wasn't anything new. So I knew that me having any doubt wouldn't be great for us. So I just wanted to keep a level head. And you could probably hear during the timeout say, look, I know we're down right now, but we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Candace was echoing the same thing. We always thought we were in striking distance. And it was never a point, even if, like, at the pace we want to play at, um, a 9 point game is like a three possession game,
Right,
really.
right.
It just goes. It just goes. Whether it's, two threes and one, but it can just go really fast. Um, and really a 9 point game is really a two possession game because if you get 5 points real quick, you're back at a back and forth game if you're plus or minus four. So we felt pretty confident the entire time. Um, where we felt like we had the momentum is probably the shot before Candace made her three,
Yep.
you know, and so I think that's where we felt like, okay, we got the momentum. I think we scored 4 points like really quick,
Yep.
and then they missed, and then we came down and hit a three, and yeah, I felt like the momentum was really in our favor, and we held strong. But during that whole fourth quarter, like every time out or every break and play, you can see it that we were really determined,
Mhm.
um, and it was a collectivity. It was as a collective unit. Like every player that you saw, every time they talked, you saw the eye contact and you saw them. Really, you saw the feel, touch, handshakes. Everything was really locked in. So no, I felt good in the fourth quarter,
Well, I think
even at the beginning.
I think it was interesting. Like I'm looking at her numbers, and it felt like obviously the play of Copper was phenomenal. Candace did some big things at big time. Vandersloot
Mhm.
was Vandersloot, but Allie had some games where she didn't need to be that that second or third or even, maybe even fourth scoring option. I mean, you
Hmm.
look back at her playoffs and she had some big number games. She had some single digit games. For me, it was that fourth game where it felt like Phoenix was doing a fairly decent job of taking away, or maybe, just not being able to knock down certain shots at certain times. And you kind of got the
Hmm.
feeling like this is Allie's moment to like make this, to solidify this.
Right.
Did you sense that too? Because she finishes with 26, but
She was not playing.
she
Yeah.
she just hit the shots that she needed to hit in those exact moments, and the ball was getting to her, and she was open. And I just kind of felt like this is so poetic right now that here we have Allie Quigley, one of the hometown heroes, just having her probably biggest game of the entire playoffs right in this moment.
Yeah. She goes into these zones, and so she definitely was in a zone in the second half. Like you could see it. Like like she went into a zone, and it kind of epitomizes our team, where we have these players that go into many zones, whether it be Kai in the first half of the third quarter, or whether it be Candace for a 10-minute stretch, or Allie for a 20-minute stretch, or Sloot in the last 2 minutes of the game. Like we have players that really kind of take over the game, and their teammates kind of really support them doing it. And so you see us actually readily looking for them. And that's what Allie did for us at the beginning of the second half and throughout the second half. And it was big. It was big for us.
So something that you've kind of touched on is I don't know if there's like a coach's terminology for it, but and we've seen this in so many of the great teams in WNBA history where yeah, you got a superstar, you got a few role players, you got another superstar, whatever, but it's everybody being aware that like when it's your time to step up or when you have the hot hand, we feed you and it's that unselfish play. And that kind of makes me think back to the past couple of years with the Chicago Sky under your leadership and how there's been some heartbreak. Like we know that there's been some heartbreak in these playoffs. And I'm so curious, like, how do you feel that all those moments helped you get to this moment and get to the mountain? I know if you followed the finals, you heard your quote by Ryan Rucco a bunch about we're no longer at the screen door, we're at the real door, we're banging, we're knocking, we're kicking it in. But I'm just so curious, just reflect a little bit on like this team as a whole, a family. Like I feel like family is the key word we always talk about with the Sky, and they've been through heartbreak like a family, but it seemed like they really came together, and I just want you to reflect on that. Sorry for the long question.
Oh no, it's a good question. I think when we went through the heartbreak we had in 2019, we all went through it together, and it was a somber locker room where we had to really kind of pick each other up and be there for be there for one another. And it's something that we hold tight in our memory banks. And so it makes you see the disappointment in everybody's eyes, and so you want to play for each other. So we knew once we got in that situation again, that we had to really, once we got the opportunity, we really, everybody had to do their part. And so when it comes to the end of the games and those crunch situations, everybody wants to make sure they do everything like fundamentally correct. So we're not the ones that's holding the bag at the end. We want to be the ones that finish it off and able to just go to the next phase or go to the next round or hold a trophy up, and not because we did something that put us in a bad situation. So uh, I think everybody was aware and everybody was accountable to each other, and we just want to do the best we can for each other.
I reflect back at this entire season, and I don't even know what you call it. For a while, we called it a roller coaster. I mean, it was like start out whatever the losing streak was, then you get hot, you go on a winning streak, and then it was just kind of this back and forth: win two, lose one, win one, lose two. It was just kind of this staggering effect for that second half of the season. If you
Rachel, they're playing possum. They're tricking the whole league. I'm calling it.
And it's
Yeah.
funny because I had a few people ask me, how are they doing what they're doing? And I said, anyone who has a clue about this team knows that they've been capable of this from the start. they're finally doing what we all, well, a lot of us believe they could have done, and I will include myself in that very proudly. But I think it really comes down to, coaches and teams talk about playing your best basketball at the right moment. And obviously, you've got to throw some luck in there when it comes to playoffs or end of season play. But it's very clear that you guys were playing your best basketball at the right moment. We could look at the Connecticut Sun. Maybe they peak at the wrong time. It doesn't really matter. You could go through the whole gambit of teams. But with you guys, anyone who knows this team knew what they were capable of, knew the level of talent on this team, and how well you guys have stuck together historically. Is there anything you can say to how you were able to get them to play their best basketball at playoff time?
I think so. A lot went into it, and I, I think we took certain steps as a group, and we were able to find solutions to play consistently, and it helped. You know, um, so we were really focused and really locked in, and everybody was bought into what we have to do, and it goes from the top on down, like our leadership on the court. You saw how Candace, she was locked in, Sloop, Ka, they were all locked in, and everybody followed. Like all the players followed, and it was really easy uh, once you have those players doing stuff and just leading us in all kinds of ways. It's really easy to like accomplish a lot of things. Like Candace meant so much to us this year and helping us get to the next level, and Ka's progression, and Sloot's experience, Quigley's timeliness and toughness, and able to deal with everything that she was dealing with from a competitive standpoint. As far as her and Diana Taurasi had a very spirited series, a lot of bumps and bruises and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of physical play, and she was able to outlast that and have a great series. So it was a little bit of everything. When you talk about the playoffs, it was more about we went into the playoffs, I think 2-4 our last 6 games, and it was just something. We came together at the right time, and we put some game plans out there that gave us some confidence. And once we found those great game plans, then it kind of built our confidence, and we kind of figured out a new identity for ourselves. And we just we went on a run that probably hasn't been did before.
Oh yeah, I mean, making history, setting records, that is and team, right? Because we were talking about daggers and big shots. I mean, we brought this up already. Steph Dolson hit a couple daggers that like post up, turn around, fade back by Sloot in the fourth was just ridiculous and just rude. Um, and then that three from Candace, but we got to have some fun now. So you win the ring, right? The buzzer hits 0. Well, you don't get the ring yet. You gotta wait a little bit for that. But you give me a memory from that night. Like, obviously there was a few seconds left and you realize, okay, we won this. But like the buzzer goes, what's like we all saw the adorable moment of Candace and her daughter, but like, do you have a moment that just like stands out from that night, that moment that just, makes your heart flutter when you think about it?
Uh, just seeing my family there, who flew in, from France. I think that was special. It's a lot of moments. I had my brother there, cousins there. Like it was a lot of moments to see Sloot and Allie, see the shock on Sloot's face. Because this is the thing, Sloot was so locked in throughout the whole playoffs, and so it wasn't a lot of emotion there. It just wasn't. Same thing with Candace. Like they were, like I've never seen a team as locked in as they were, and so it wasn't in a lot of moments where the facial expressions changed. It was just really like marching forward, marching forward, marching forward. And so to see the surprise on Sloot's face when the buzzer went off was like, it's something you live for. And the same thing with Candace. Like I don't know if you guys was
Oh,
watching
I
this
got
part. I
to
don't know if
see
the
it.
camera
Yeah,
was
I
on,
got to see it. Yeah.
but it's 10 seconds on the clock, and Sloot got fouled, and we're up 4, and Candace is getting emotional, and I I could have gotten a technical because I go on the floor and I hug her, and it's still 10 seconds on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And so like all these things were like going in slow motion. And when we won it, I searched out first I gave, I talked to Sandy, and I talked to the other coaches and a couple of their players. And, um, but then I found my family, and, um, showed some love to some players. And, it was just great. It was just a whole bunch of great moments to see the fans, how excited they were. And that was amazing. And all, like, a lot of people that don't get the recognition that they deserve, like Ann Crosby, our do it all director of basketball operations, or just our practice guys, our trainers. And we have a couple of people that help us, Sean and Maggie. They do so much work for us, and just to see the happiness on their faces, uh, it meant a lot to me. And I didn't actually touch the trophy to, like, maybe after the celebration at some point in the locker room, because I just wanted everybody to, like, feel it. And I just wanted to everybody to have a moment with it. So it was really amazing. For me, it was about everybody else. It was less about me and more about how I made everybody else feel.
Well, I'm sorry, because we're here to talk about you a little bit more. Actually, really cool and interesting. I didn't realize that Sandy was also part of the coaching staff over at ECAT, with Olaf, while you kind of joined in there. That was something I heard. I think I saw in like the post game presser with the big three, which I thought, I guess it was the big four, which was really cool. Just to, like, it was serendipity or whatever the word is. But you spoke in your post game presser, and I'm not going to try and get you emotional or anything, about Dan Hughes and what he meant to you. And I have to say, like, I knew that you guys had that relationship. Obviously, everyone knows the history of how, like, you and the W and working with Dan and all of that. But, like, when you were talking about it and talking about how he saw something in you, I had this moment of, like, there's something about both their personalities when I've talked to them, like, just that good person, caring, that you just want to talk to. And there was just something about you two that I don't know, but whatever. I digress. You named Dan, but can you name some other influential people that, maybe you want to thank for getting you to this moment? But also, I have to ask, who is the most random person who you didn't expect to hear from who reached out to say congrats?
The most random person. Uh, uh,
Well, you said, I know this wasn't random, but, like, you said, like, a high school, like, teammate of yours you hadn't seen in like
yeah,
20 years
yeah,
showed up. Was there,
yeah.
like, someone from your middle school class who was, like, sending you a photo of you guys playing basketball, like, or,
No, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know. My college coach, I hadn't talked to my college coach in a while. He called, and you know, I don't know. I wouldn't say anybody's random. I could I've tried to build enough relationships or be as respectful enough where I think I make a lasting impression where everybody will be somewhat happy for me. I guess. So for it to be random, it would be somebody I would have to, like, not have a great relationship with. And I think it's nobody I'm at that point with. I guess not yet. I don't know. My son hasn't reached his teenage years where he don't like me yet. So
Right.
I, so, so I don't think. I guess my high school teammate, I hadn't talked to in 28 years. I guess that was like the most, I guess, most shocking, but the most pleasant, because he actually came behind the bench in the I guess, while in the warm ups, and so I actually got a chance to lay eyes on him and actually show him some love, like give him a hug, and that was really, I guess, that was nice. My cousins, them just decided in the morning to hop on the plane, like, hey, we're coming. That was and my brother too, and my brother had to get up like early in the morning the next day and work, and him coming there, so that was, I had a long embrace with my brother after the game, and I was really, happy about that. So uh
That's amazing.
yeah.
That's so special, because you can't beat family in those moments.
Right.
I have to ask the question that everybody has been clamoring about, and don't worry, it's not what you think it is. I just need to know if you know whose idea was it to bring the door to the parade, because that was the most amazing thing. I have seen, and rumor has it no one acknowledged the door.
Like, no, I didn't even honestly, like, I know I'm gonna probably get blamed, like, that was my response. I had no idea it was even there.
That was the
I didn't know. I had no idea, and I don't know if the players knew, but I thought it was. I mean, I don't know, but like,
whoever
uh,
runs the social media was like a special
I
guest at the parade, and it had the door. It was
yeah,
hilarious.
and I think they were probably responsible for that, but I had no idea
That was
like
great.
who did that. It was. I thought it was pretty lighthearted, fun. I know that probably the Phoenix Mercury don't care, but I thought that the Phoenix Mercury fans were really probably pissed or whatever. But who
But
cares?
that's all
Who
the
cares?
fun. And honestly,
Yeah, who
I just
cares?
want to say something about this series. I don't remember who brought this up. I think it was like Jim Suhan or like whoever does the podcast with Cheryl Reeve was talking about the importance of series in the
Hmm.
playoffs and how they can impact a rivalry or just get fans like so invested and make fans, dislike other teams. And I just think this series was such a great, I mean, all the ones that we had in the playoffs were an example of it, but this was such a great example of it. Like, obviously, I don't think there's hard feelings or whatever, but for the
Right.
fans, it creates that animosity. And I know there's been some words shared between some Sky Show Shy and Diana Taurasi's Bun. They've been going at it or whatever. But I just think it was amazing, hilarious. And now
Yeah.
Rachel has a serious question.
Serious. No. You had mentioned the parade, and I had to go home. It was enough for me.
Oh, you missed it. Oh, you
I,
missed
I did
it.
not
That was
make
like
I
the
did not
oof.
make the parade, but I did watch it on I think the city of Chicago had a stream of it, which
Hmm.
was actually really
Hmm.
cool. But walk us through that day. Those of us who could not be there. I mean, the crowd looked phenomenal. There was a lot of shots of a lot of people lining the streets. It actually looked
Yeah.
really impressive. I mean, just walk us through what Tuesday was like.
So we got there around 10, and they had some food for us when we got in, and they had I guess the big scoreboard jumbotron. They had it down on the floor with everything in the gym, the floor already up, and so people were there like gathering around family, so you got to mingle a little bit with the families, and it was cool. So it was like, okay, I wonder what this day is going to be like, and so it was nice. And so they start calling people to get on the buses and stuff like that, and uh, it was people out, like out, and it was some preschoolers, and like it was just nice, quaint, like maybe uh, 75 people, and we were like, oh, so it's going to be okay. And they put us on a bus, and then we rode around the corner, and you start seeing so many people lined up, and you're like, okay, wow, this is crazy, this is amazing. But when we turned on Michigan Avenue, South Michigan Avenue, and it turns into Michigan Avenue,
Yeah.
that's when you start seeing everybody, and you were like amazed because Michigan Avenue is the main street, and it was people on both sides, and they were cheering and just going crazy, and I was like, wow, this is absolutely amazing.
Wow.
And so we go up the ways a little bit. We pass by the Art Institute. It was my first time seeing the Lions with the Chicago Sky
That was
uniforms
cool.
That
on.
was so cool.
And so you saw all the people. It was, oh my gosh. And so we went through the two fire trucks with the ladders, formed up in the air and went under there, and went inside and went underneath in the tunnel of the pavilion. And once we went outside and we saw like all those thousands of people all the way to the tip of the pavilion, it was like I couldn't believe it. Like I absolutely couldn't believe it to see the love and support, and um, I felt like I was watching a movie.
It really, and the cool thing for those folks who weren't there was they had like live commentary for the whole thing, which I thought was amazing. That I don't
Hmm.
know who put that on, but the commitment that the city showed. I mean, I'm stuck in DC, but I could feel it over here. So we've kept you long enough. I just have to ask one more question. Like, what's next for this team? The GM part of you is probably a million light years ahead, already thinking into training camp and whatnot. But just give us a little preview. What's next? I heard. I don't know if it was you or Candace. Completely guaranteed, no questions. A repeat? No, I'm joking. But talk to me. What's next for this team?
Now we just have to, build on what we have. Like we have to build on what we have. I think we have a strong core in who we have, and We have to build on it. We can't be satisfied where we are, but we know that we have a good quality team with great quality players, and we just have to add on to that. I think we're going to be competitive, and we definitely want to be back here next year and throwing parades again. Like, I think we've arrived as an organization, and so now we've attracted our big free agent, and now I think we've shown, like, if players want to win, they can come here and do so. And I think that was probably a concern before, but it can't be a concern now. And one thing, when you talk about, like, our team, when the echoing sentiment of all the exit interviews was, we felt like a family, and that was through wins and losses. And I think you see it, like, when you look at our
You
team,
do
you can
see it.
say, oh, that team is,
You do see it.
they seem like a family. Even players that, some players have wanted to leave, or players have wanted to leave, and we understood that, but at the end of the day, the core of who we are is has always been a family. And that's the only way I probably know how to coach in that type of environment where those things matter. So yeah.
No, I mean, I think that's perfect. I mean, it probably out of up there at the top of any team in the league. Watching them this season, watch the ups and the downs that you guys had this season from an outsider's perspective. That was the one thing I think we all can agree on, and it was evident on the court, and it was evident in the way you played. And coach, just again, huge congratulations to you, from someone who grew up 2 hours south of the city and
So cool.
has watched the Chicago Sky since they began. This is a really cool day for any hoop fan from Chicago, any hoop fan from the state of Illinois. And for it being the first one, I mean, I still have chills on my arms right now just talking about it.
So
So
cool.
congratulations to you, and again, thank you so much for bringing the championship back to the city.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That feel good that makes me feel good. So I'm good.
Coach, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. And actually, real quick, I hate to put you on the hot seat. I didn't even think about this, and feel free to say no. Are you going overseas this offseason? Like, to
Uh,
coach?
no,
Okay.
no, no. My son is. That's not going to happen. Like, I have to. With all this been this summer and last few seasons, I really have to be a dad right now. So no, I'm not.
I love that. Well, get him to leave soccer and become a basketball star. So,
That's what I'm trying to do, and I think that's a full-time job. And shoot, man, this will probably be my toughest coaching job yet, trying to get him there.
I love it. Thank you so much, coach. Have a great night.
All right, thanks, guys.